Well, my Stream Deck unexpectedly worked correctly. That's shocking. How y'all doing? Thank you. This hurts me. So what's happening? Ah, yes. Electric companies are shitty. I don't even know what I'm looking at, Dev. But that is definitely some Dev shit right there. Obsession. Hey, Ducky. I was wondering about that name with that very many years badge. I suspected it might be, but I didn't want to assume. Thank you for 89 months. Appreciate it. Things are going. They're somewhere. Calorie, thank you for 59 months. So this is going to be pretty much more of me just being on cam here, listening to music, talking to you guys, and fucking around with my code. Because it's really become a pretty serious brainworm. In fact, I got done with my work today. I took a little break, and then I went immediately back to this. So I'm just basically working around the clock. It is currently working. It still won't talk to you guys. Sorry. But where it's at now, so for testing purposes yesterday. Oh damn. We'll get some rest, Ducky. Hope you have a good work day. For testing purposes, the way I had everything structured yesterday was it was all just a single script essentially. And we kind of ran into the end of the usefulness of that whole situation where I had like those conflicts with the auth provider and whatever else. So, now I've split it up into modules, but that has its own troubles. Hey, Chloe. Sorta. It has bot features. But there's a bit more going on than that. I'm not trying to make like a general chat bot. It's just a useful tool at the moment. But yeah, so I took my like big mess of code and I split it all into 3 separate modules now. So there's the chat handler, the API handler, the event sub handler. or modules. And that's nice and all. I got the auth set up for each one independently, so there's no more object literal conflict situation stuff going on. And there's no or not there's no, but I got the API access sorted as well. So now they all have their own auth provider situation, their own access token situation, which is good. However, because these are just sort of like brainless modules, they cannot talk to each other. So now I have to start thinking about how to actually structure this in a way that's going to work. Thank you.
Oh.
Undersea, baby.
Version 2. Programming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna finish my book.
Enjoy your book. Mwah. Mwah.
Very slow.
I'll try. Okay, so Soul. Maybe, Chloe. I don't really have an experience with that paradigm. I don't think we said anything about missing each other. Did we? If we did, I guess I wasn't even thinking about it. What I was considering or wondering is I wonder if classes are the way to go here. It's another area I don't have tons of experience with, but this whole thing, nice beer. You probably misheard. That was a Cetho level pun, I'd say. Pretty clever on the fly like that. But yeah, this whole thing has been like extremely accelerated learning for me, which feels good. But it does mean that every single thing I try to do is like just another wall I have to figure out how to climb over. And that's where I'm at again. So what the main issue is, these all have a sort of different well, they have different scopes and different ways of obtaining auth. But I would like them to be able to interoperate. So like with event sub, I'd like to be able to initiate listening from maybe the API module or maybe the chat module. Or maybe I'd like the chat module to be able to initiate a poll using the API module. But I'm not sure what paradigm makes sense for this. Is it that I just bung them all together and have like a sort of master script that does all of this coordination? Well, right now they're very dumb. So the way that it currently works, each of them are just wrapped in an asynchronous function. And I have a main JS, or it's server.js, and I import the modules into that one, That one calls start chat, start API, start event sub. I've only done it this way just for testing. It's not necessarily the sort of structure that I'd like to have. Yeah, I mean to be saying pattern, sorry. I mean paradigm, pattern. Paradigm just means a common way that things are done, a standard. Okay. To be specific, I do mean a pattern. They're not iffies. Or are you suggesting that that's what I should do? Are you mean like a big chain of requires, and then every module is just a sort of self-initializing blob? It could be that I don't quite remember uh let me just see here. No, they're not iffies. I'm directly calling them. They're basically just regular asynchronous functions. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I'm wondering about certain things. I've never done anything like this before. In fact, I haven't really worked with an API like on a significant level ever. So things that I'm not sure about are like it doesn't feel right to me to just pile everything in and then call them and have them, call each one in order and they do all of their connecting. I feel like I should tell it, okay, I want you to connect now. And then I have all these methods available for, doing things or getting things that I want. But I suppose a lot of that is just sort of organizational preference. The other thing is I'm kind of trying to build this in a way that the whole thing will be usable by something else. If that makes any sense. So I would almost like this to be kind of like a plug-inable Twitch connection manager thing that I can use use in something else to handle all of the sort of interaction with Twitch data. Well, exactly. I was thinking that it would be, I mean, that's really elegant, but that crossed my mind was that like if I'm not using, for example, the event sub, it doesn't seem like it needs to connect until it's first used, but yeah. Yeah, maybe I should bust out the tablet and draw some stuff up. Right now I'm still just relishing the fact that it functions at all. I mean, I'm always keeping in mind not to overcomplicate. But I also need to learn things here. So I need to try to do certain things. But I'm trying to get to plateaus of success, which is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm at one plateau of success. All of these separate things, they work within their own scope. So now we're looking at the next problem. But yeah, I'm mindful not to like overreach too far into the future. Well, like I said, I mean, I actually don't really know, beer. I don't know if there's, I don't know what the pros and cons lists would be. Others would know better than me. That's exactly what this is, Chloe. This is that's how this has been going, as well with what you're saying, Dim. I did it in a super dirty way. Now I've organized it a little bit. And the next step is like, okay, so now my main objective is basically just do what I said. I want these to be able to interoperate. And there's a few niceties I think would be good to have. One thing that I don't really have right here is none of these modules really know whether they're connected or not, except for chat. Because chat, Twerple provides a nice little on register event. So really, well, yeah. I mean, on registered lets me know that it was successfully registered. Yeah. But I don't know how to do it, Bear. So, I mean, I kind of have some, it's essentially close to that right now. In that, my main function calls these other three modules. So they're imported in here. And then it just calls each of their own main functions. And they connect. What I don't understand is how I can do this in a different way where I can have access to the scope. Or maybe it's just a matter of exporting the functions. And that's it. Maybe that's all there is to it here. What's funny is that I kind of sort of actually already have a model view controller. Well, I have a model data controller because there's no view to this. Although technically it has now become a module model data controller. This started as me following a tutorial for something else, but it was relevant to this. So there's some cruft in here that's separated away, but it started as that and then it became what it is now. Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. That makes sense. Let me look at what I had here. So the tutorial thing that I did was basically, it was essentially like data about products. So there's a product model, there's a products JSON for data, and then a product controller. And the way the tutorial did it. So everything is its own standalone asynchronous function. It was the tutorial was about handling basically building your own REST API without Express. I suppose this pattern seems fine. Hmm. And then the router was just in the main. All of the so all of the functions were imported from the controller and then just used for handling requests, HTTP requests. But yeah, I guess the view would be views would be anything that you can view. Although I'm worried that this almost feels like it would be even more confusing to me. Maybe not. Just thinking it through, because there would be what? There'd be a chat controller, an API controller, event subcontroller. But then for views, when I use the API to kick off a poll, is that considered a view? So it would stay in the controller then. Right. Well, let me look. So let me look at Mimodules. So in terms of things that they've got going on, so the chatbot grabs the environment variables. It checks to see if we've saved tokens. If it doesn't find that, it initializes them in preparation for requesting new ones. Then we create a new refreshing auth provider, which is from Twerple. We send it the tokens, and it gives us back access tokens, refresh tokens, which may or may not have been refreshed, depends on expiration. And then after that, without any care or check as to whether we've succeeded in the above, we create a new chat client, and we await connect. We listen for on register, which means the bot has connected to chat. And then we just start listening to messages. And that's it. No, you're good. It's helpful to have some of this coming at me because I'm feeling around in the dark. So you're basically out in the dark waving a flashlight around. And occasionally I see a flash of light. So I mean that's not a bad thing. Really need a rubber duck. I'm not super knowledgeable about like promises. To be honest, this chat code is essentially just the example from Twerple. But it does make me wonder about like it doesn't really wait to know if getting the tokens was successful. It doesn't have any check for that at all. It's just like get authorization and then start a chat client. I feel like it should probably check, right? It ought to be able to know if it failed. Maybe it doesn't need to know. Or needing to know was outside the scope of the example. Yeah. Is it fine just because it's a promise? Oh, because it's blocking. Like I said, I don't really have a total good grasp on that stuff yet. I'm still in the phase of like I put the magic words where it looks like they normally ought to be. Okay, so that's blocking and that's why that's fine. That makes sense to me. Gotcha. Okay. There's probably a lot of that that I haven't done correctly. So yeah, that example there is very much the way that mine is set up currently, except for that it doesn't call itself. I export. I called the function start chat. I export start chat, and then my main app JS calls start chat when the server starts. So I'm just trying to think of how I would structure this differently. Like, should I break this up into separate functions so I could just like encapsulate like, okay, start the chatbot. And then anything else that I want to do with chat, I make other separate functions that I can call if I want to do this or do that or whatever. Apart from listening for events, of course. To be honest, it might even be already just be fine. Let me look at API. API is very similar. Grabs environment variables, sets up its auth, but doesn't have anything to really indicate that we've successfully connected, but it does. And then I have a function inside of this that is unused and can't really be used by anything outside of this module yet, called test poll, which should still work. But previously I was using a chat command to do it, which I no longer can until I change this. But I can demonstrate it or test that it works still. It just involves restarting the server every time. Except it didn't work. Oh. And that didn't work because... Ah. Right. I was messing around with something and I left the messing around. There you go. Apparently you can't use onConnect for that sort of thing. Or something like that. It's, well, you can... It's not a confirmation that you actually successfully connected to chat, though, because that's why I'm using onRegister. OnRegister lets you know that you've actually got a bot in a chat. It was successfully registered to the chat room. OnConnect is you've just connected to Twitch. It doesn't mean that your bot is in chat and ready. So you're not wrong, but you have to know that context, you know. So that still works. Oh, I turned off all my event sub stuff, so I didn't even get the benefits of seeing that still working. Test failed successfully. Let me bring that back as well. Ah. Right. So for listening, you need the user ID. Now, I could technically just plug that in, but previously I was getting that from the API, which I no longer have access to in my event sub module. But I can just hard code that for the moment. Okay. There we go. So event sub is working. I'm getting progress from the poll, which is nice. So if I wanted to make use of this, I would store this. This is true, Sir Stabin. This is extremely true. And then I got the poll end event. And yes won with 4 votes. No lost with 2 votes. So that's all still working. So good, 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 good. Yeah, Minecraft science. We got to get a rock to get struck by lightning. And when it says, "What is my purpose?" you say, "Computer. You are a computer." One thing I don't love about the event sub, at least for polls, I don't know how to handle this. I guess you just filter out the second one. But when the poll ends, so like you can't vote anymore, you get a poll end event. When the poll disappears off of chat, you get a poll end event. So I guess you'd have to just expect that there's going to be 2 poll end events. The first one's the end of the poll. The second one is the disappearance of the poll. Because there's nothing else to... There's no other distinction. Yeah. Yeah. 2 poll end events. They both return the same thing. I'm not dumping out all of what they send though, so it could have some distinct information maybe. Let me look at the reference. Event sub. Okay. You know what? I think it wouldn't actually send anything different. It wouldn't send anything useful. Poll end event. Bits per vote, broadcaster display name, broadcaster ID, broadcaster name, channel points per vote, choices, end date, ID, is bits voting enabled, is channel points voting enabled, start date, status? Maybe I should put out status. End date could be useful as well, yeah. Let me see what status is, because I have no idea. And now I'm curious. Completed, archived, terminated. All right. Let's see what that does. Like, at what points does it decide which is what? Okay. Another poll coming up. Status undefined. I've done this wrong. Don't know how. That is weird. Oh, there just isn't a status. Yeah. So for starting a poll and for progress, it's undefined. Now it says completed, and we're waiting an unknown amount of time. What is it, like a whole minute longer? I'm using, well, it depends on what you mean, Sag. I'm using a library called Twerple. It's a JavaScript Twitch API wrapper. Is that what you're asking? Okay. Poll end status archived. So that's what happens. Interesting. But that's a good, okay. I mean, I can tell the difference between them now, so that's good to know. I can check the status. So we ignore it if it's undefined, and we can act on the thing. Like we can know when there's no more voting, and we can know when the coast is clear to start another poll. So that's probably good enough. Yeah, yes. I mean, we've learned that by testing it, but that fits with what we've learned. So progress and begin do not have any idea what's going on. I guess they're sort of self-explanatory, right? So there's really no need. Oh, weird. So on the creation of the poll, so the API returned all caps active for the status. So when I do the create poll command, that returns different data. And event sub did not give me a poll begin, interestingly. Yeah, I'm not using a testing tool. I have insomnia. I've been using that for getting my tokens and stuff that I need. Could it be coming from Twerple? Because I'm doing API client. So to create a poll, I do await API client dot polls dot create poll. I give it user ID and poll data, which is 3 object literals or whatever. And then it returns, I think, a helix poll object. Helix poll status. Rustlar, thank you for 81 months. Very much appreciated. Let me see. Helix poll API dot create poll. Promise Helix poll is what it returns. It doesn't tell me what the possible. It just says the status of the poll. That's all I'm getting here. Right, so probably Twerple then. That's fine. It's not super useful. It is a Helix poll status property or object or whatever. It simply doesn't show them. I'm using VS Code. Maybe it's not pulling that information correctly. It literally says in parentheses property and then helix poll dot status colon helix poll status. The status of the poll is the description. That's all it gives me. Yeah. The nice thing is because it's JS doc, their documentation links directly to the source code for every single property, object, class, method, everything. So it's really, really, really easy to go just examine the source. Okay. So I'm gonna try to think about how to structure this a little differently so that I can access stuff. So what's used to do anything in the case of the API is the API client. So once you've connected, you've successfully authed, you create an API client. The API client does everything else. So that I would need to be accessible to any method that I put in this module if it's going to work. I feel like having like a connect method that returns the API client and then I have to pass it back whenever I want to do anything feels gross, but I don't know why. I would prefer to not have to do that, but I feel like I don't know how else to do it. I hate saying that stuff out loud because I know it reveals how much I do not know. But you have to know that you don't know things to learn new things. Hello, Endwin. I am. I feel like if I can get over this hump, I could really do a lot more stuff pretty quickly. But this is my blocker right now. Yeah, we're all at different stages. Are you all actually referring to something with this rubber ducky stuff, or like is this a meme? I'd never heard of this before, so I just thought this was something y'all made up. I don't know the rubber duck thing. I'm learning stuff left and right. You talk through your code out loud to a rubber ducky. Ah, okay. That's I've never heard of this. Programming rubber duck. Yeah, that's immediately completable. It's got a whole ass fucking Wikipedia page. How have I never heard of this? In software engineering, rubber duck debugging, or rubber ducking, is a method of debugging code by articulating a problem in spoken or written natural language. The name is a reference to a story in the book The Pragmatic Programmer, in which a programmer would carry around a rubber duck and debug their code by forcing themselves to explain it line by line to the duck. Never heard of this ever. For all the programmers I know or have known in my life, I have never heard of this. That's wild that like everyone knows. No one's ever said it to me. Well, then, yeah, you guys are definitely the rubber ducky in this scenario for sure. I hope you don't mind. That's basically what I've been doing. Is I'm just talking about what it is that I'm trying to do out loud, and hoping that it maybe spurs something, which it has done a few times. Or y'all will have some good idea that will get me further down the road with this as well. So who knows? Anything could happen. Did my class idea sound like a bad idea? That's the thing I'm still. Something about that just makes me uncomfortable, Enduin. Every time, like, I want to get online and stream with you guys with the coding stuff, and I know it would be more engaging if you could see the code, but also it makes me just really uncomfortable, and I don't really quite know why. I think it's similar to how I feel sometimes when I'm drawing on stream or doing any sort of creation. It feels similar to like if you're working and someone is standing over your shoulder looking at what you're doing. Does that make sense? It's not entirely rational. It's not even that I'm worried that you guys are going to think it sucks or anything. It's just like it clamps my ability to do anything down. It's just like an anxiety. That I'm fine with. I'm used to that. I mean, you go through a process with all this stuff. You know, when I first started making videos, I hated the way my voice sounded, just like everybody does. Or at least I assume everybody does. I've heard it a lot. Just about everybody, when they record their voice, they're like, ugh. And then I think that really puts a lot of people off of, making video content or whatever. But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it to the degree that eventually you just stop giving a shit. Um, it's the problem with it is that you just hear your voice differently in your own head. So when you record it and play it back to yourself, it doesn't sound like you, and it's freaky. And then, I had to go through the hump of not really feeling comfortable being visible on camera. So I was voice only for a long time. And I've noticed it's varying little facets of my life where I'll have more anxiety about certain things. I didn't like drawing on stream, and then I got comfortable with that and I started doing that. So And I don't feel comfortable coding on stream still. So that's where we're at with that. Oh, that's really helpful to know, Chloe. I did see something in the Twerple channel on the Twitch API Discord just the other day, of the author of Twerple accusing VS Code of not interpreting JS doc correctly. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's related. Oh yeah, holding control. I didn't even try that. And it looks like that's probably gonna do it. No, it shows me a getter. That's all the more it shows me. But yeah, I suppose if I just typed this out differently, it would probably give me that information. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not like I haven't I always work my way up, and I'm just at a particular point where I'm not quite ready to show code yet. But eventually, I'll probably get there. Uh, it just so it's the same stuff it showed before, but it just says get status, helix pole status. It's like an example of how you could use it, I guess. I'm not totally sure. I'm not sure why it shows that. Mouse over helix pole status. It's not giving me anything. It doesn't give me anything else in that little tooltip, unfortunately. Uh, I guess I can give you a little tease, but it makes me very uncomfortable. Hold on, let me just make sure I close all the things that have all my keys. Okay. I think it's safe. And it would probably be helpful for you guys to just see what the hell I'm fucking talking about as well. At least once. Things are quite messy though, so just know that. They are, but I'm not using operating system environment variable. I'm using .env. So this is my main script here. I'm using Webpack. Actually don't need any of this here anymore, but I haven't cleaned that up yet. Here's my modules. This was the tutorial stuff. Ignore this. This is a router, a really shitty one. And then here's what I was talking about. This is basically just so I could keep testing. And then here's the 3 modules. So chat. Here's my environment variables. This is where I'm grabbing tokens if they exist. refreshing auth provider. This shit's a bit of an ugly mess right now. And then event sub. I'm using crypto here because we're using ngrok, so I can do local testing. So this gets regular client credentials. I store that. I do a similar pattern here. If we got a secret, we use it. If we don't, we initialize a secret. And this is what the FAQ told me to do. Here we set up the actual event sub listener using ngrok. And then we start listening. And these are the poll listeners here. I can't enable Twitch emotes in my terminal. I don't think. Is that a real thing? And then this is the API. This is the app ID and my API access key. It's just a static auth. Blah, 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 blah. Not a lot going on there. This is the actual function for creating a test poll. And it's just sitting here. And then each of these exports themselves. And if I restart the server, poll created. There you go. At the moment, yes, I have to hard code every poll. But that's just because that's where I'm at with it at the moment. I mean, I could expand that pretty easily to enable that. But yeah, I mean, debugging, testing, you're always going to have some hard-coded crap. I'll be right back. So, Tetris. Tetris is that would be an extremely difficult game to make. That's some pretty complex stuff. I could show you guys Phaser if you're interested in that. I don't know if you gleaned anything interesting from looking at my code at all. Let me kill this. Yeah, phaser is really, really fucking cool, actually. Which one was it? Was it this one? Oh god, my tabs are a mess. Let's see. Hold on one moment. I'm going to try to get this in a showable capacity. God, nightmare tabs. Why have I done this? Okay. So, this is a phaser project tutorial that I just did the other day. And it's really, really simple. It's not very complex at all. You got your assets, classes, scenes, and then your sort of main thing that kicks off the game engine, some configuration stuff. Just establish a bunch of, like, this is basically loading all of everything, establishing sprite sheets, animations, and then scene 2 has like all the logic. And it looks like, I'll probably have to pause pretzel. What's that? It's like this. Yep. And this is JavaScript. This is a JavaScript game engine. It's kind of shocking. So, let's do this. Would be interesting to show. I'm very much baby with this stuff as well, so. This is kind of interesting. This tween is what's used for when you die, where it puts you at the bottom and then you fly back in, so I could, I don't know. There isn't really anything super interesting. I can make it happen faster. Really quick respawn. Where are we doing things? Center active. Probably velocity. That's power-ups. Ah. So that's player controls. That's power-ups. Where the heck are we doing the ships, the enemy ship speed? Oh no, your slug tube's in my sock box. Who dat? Pack, thank you for the raid. Welcome, friends. Be here. I literally just don't know where that's happening. So we tile sprite the background. Set the origin. We load in the enemy ships. We have them play their animation. Just going through the sprite sheet. Set interactive on game object down. This destroy ship. Power-ups are all in the same physics group, so they all share the same collision stuff, so they all collide with the projectiles that my ship So that's kind of cool. So we create the player there. Give the enemies physics. Check for overlaps, collisions. HUD. Bitmap font. Audio. Soundtrack. Reset the player, hit the enemy. Ah, move ship. That's the thing. Ah, down in update, of course. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't even look down here. So this is the update loop. Well, this is the exact same game engine that Vampire Survivors was built on. So I can make one of the ships, like, stupidly fast. Oh, God. Oh, shit. I would need way faster move speed. Yeah. I know. It blew my mind as well when I learned that fact. What other dumb thing can we do? Oh, let's try our upset bounce. I don't know what this will do, if it will even do anything, or if it'll just crash. It crashed. It did not like that. No, okay. So they're just set up differently. Really slow shots. Just the slow shots. There's too many power-ups. I have to lay a defensive cloud of little wigglers. He's running in my cloud. Hold on. Shit. No, I know I don't have spread shot yet.
He has a flat brain.
This dot scale is not a function. I've only barely begun with this, so there are many things that I do not understand. Nope. This is not how you scale that. Clairvoyant Nara, thank you for Nintendo 64 months. Very much appreciated. Huh? That doesn't seem to be working. Could I do this? Or is this old? That's version 2. Yeah. That's not the right thing. Haha. Step sorting. Let's see, scale. No idea what's happening there. Very specific things are happening there. Oh, that's cool. That rocks. Yeah, that other one was definitely Darkwing Duck. Yeah, scale X and scale Y, but I think I'm trying to call it in the wrong. I think I'm calling it in the wrong place. Is the issue. Or, to be honest, I was just not calling it correctly. I mean, obviously I'm not calling it correctly. Spray. Blah, 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 blah. That's still not the way to do it. I need to stop this horrific sound from happening. Really? Yeah, look at that. Oh boy. Set scale, huh? It is set scale, is it? I wonder if I can do a silly thing. I can definitely do a silly thing. There is no set scale. Right. I would think it would be well, it's a member of a physics group. I don't really understand how to like reference things yet because it's a lot. It's one of those things where I did the tutorial and I didn't necessarily really fully understand everything I was doing. I understood some, not all. I just thought it'd be fun to like scale one thing up, but I'm not capable of doing that. I mean, maybe here. Can I scale it here? This is a sprite. So what if I just try to scale it up here? Does that scale? There we go. Finally, I managed to do a thing. What would be really great would be to be able to set a tween. Anyway, I'm definitely investing some time in trying to learn this game engine. And I'm gonna use it for some things. What was the purpose of the stream overall? Stream didn't really super have a purpose other than this is what I felt like doing tonight. I didn't really feel like doing anything else. I figured I would hang out with you guys while I did it. My main thing that I've been trying to work on is this this whole API handler thing. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how I want to reorganize it so that I can actually like cross-use things across the modules and so forth. And I just I have very limited brain, unfortunately. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out and doing is like, how do I organize this? I'd really like to be able to change the way this is set up right now to where I could use the chat stuff that I've set up and be able to launch a poll via the API. And currently, the way I have things, I cannot do that. Yeah. Yeah. I want it all to be able to interoperate so that I can do more advanced things. I want them to be able to communicate across because they all have different capabilities. You know, like the chat portion of the API can't make polls, but the Twitch API portion can. So I have to sort of marry these things together. Yeah. Um currently the plan is to have it all be one program, but I don't want it all just bunged into a single script. I want it to be more organized than that, so it doesn't, because I might have a lot of different functions and such, and I don't want it to be one big long mess. So I'm trying to do it in such a way that I can organize this better. And I'm just not super knowledgeable. Yeah, basically. Because I'm going to make another application that's going to use this data. So I want to be able to ask the Twitch API for things in various ways, either from chat or from event sub or from the main API. I might want to tell the API to do something. So this other application that's the real objective is going to use this as its Twitch communicator. But right now, the way that these modules are set up is that they're just entirely, each one is just a big, huge asynchronous function. And so therefore, even if I include these modules in something else, they're not set up in a way that any of their own methods can be used by anything else. It's been fine. It's been chill. We're just chilling. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially an API wrapper. So I just want to get it to a point where it reliably can do all the connections, and then expand I can expand it with more methods to do more things that I want to do. As easily and as straightforward as possible. Yeah, I just want to have intermodule communication. So what I'm thinking is that each of these kind of has the same thing in common, which is they have to establish a client. So I'm thinking the client really should just be like a global constant outside of the actual auth method. That way, it will be accessible to other methods that I create in each module that can then be exposed to be used by other things. So I can just include, I can export the methods that I want other things to be able to use, and then that should work. Yeah, I'm trying to build a black box that I can see inside of that interfaces with another black box, various black boxes. I'm going to just try doing the thing that I'm describing. This is exactly what your job is. Well, then you would be way better at this than I am. Oh yeah, I didn't assume it was Twitcheroony. I didn't want to bother you, Zick, because it feels so like. I mean, I've definitely thought of you more than once while I was doing this because I was like, okay, number one, I know for a fact that Zick has done exactly all this shit that I'm trying to do. Number two, Zick has a fucking life and doesn't need me being like, please tell me how to do things. Tell me how to do all the things. So rather than bother you, I've just been throwing myself down the well into this shit. I know that feeling. Sometimes I have that feeling, Zig, where like I'm enjoying my work enough that I just don't even really think about the fact that I'm just way overworking, essentially. Surfer Devin, thank you for nice months. This looks nice. I have no idea if it's gonna actually fucking be at all functional. But we're gonna find out. Okay, so let's disable all of this. Okay. Modules API manager. Connect API. User by name. Start poll. Okay. Dumb. Dumb little mistakes. That works. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Hmm. Okay, all right. So I need the user. Oops, not here. Undefined. Undefined. Ah. Okay, I know how to fix that. That should have worked. Sick. So yeah, basically that worked exactly as I hoped. You don't have anything open if that's what you intended. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, no, I intend that. I haven't been showing. I can show this, I think. I'll show you how I have arranged this differently. Just a moment. Okay. So this is how it's working now. Ignore all of this. This is nothing. So I've translated API into API manager. And I'm bringing in connect API, get user by name, start poll. And so then this would be the new way. This is the old way. This is my old API module. And then this is the new. And so I think that this would work pretty well because then for all across all the modules, I just have to import, like if I want to make a direct call to one another or whatever. I think that's sensible enough probably for me. And if I want to expand functionality, it's just pretty much as easy as adding some more functions. And documentation. This happened and I don't fully I don't know what it wants here. Is this where the description goes? What's going on right there? Why are you doing this? Why does that happen? The type? Oh. Man, I don't know. I don't remember. It's I don't know. Yeah, I don't yeah. Just you mean just leave it like that? But this seems like it's fairly clean and could be organized. I've done something that breaks this. It doesn't know what twerple is anymore. I'm not a TypeScript. I am not a TypeScript. What was it? Fuck. I don't have the other thing open. Ah. Right. So this might not be the most brilliant way of doing that, but basically I need it to be accessible to these other methods. The alternative would be that I would kick API client back here, and then I'd have to, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't want to have to pass it around. Was my thinking, you know? Is this a bad way of doing things? Oh, I read that wrong. I read the first thing and then I did a totally other thing. I invented something new and wrong. Oh, the import? Oh, you just mean do it like this? This has fixed its ability to see things. Users possibly null. It's true. So this would be a type of, well, oh yeah. Yeah, this is string here. Is that how you do it? Lowercase? I'm learning so many things. That was my expectation for where I was going to land with most of this, yeah. Yeah, the user might not exist. Possibly null, possibly null. Helix user or null. Right. I mean, if it doesn't, we're fucked, so. Where? Here? I've never used that before either. That ain't right. In the line prior? Not as a rapper? Oh, Lord. My fat fingers. Swiggles must die. Ah. Yeah, I probably don't have shit set up correctly for auto import. I'm gonna assume it's the same problem. Gotcha. This is helpful for sure in terms of making all this make sense. It feels much cleaner and easier to read. So I should probably now de-uglify the others because this seems like I think this is the pattern that I'm going to go with. Oh yeah. Yeah, I haven't done any like lint setup anything at all. It's just a very very basic Webpack setup. I have my JavaScript journey has been a bumpy, a very bumpy one, where I basically avoided learning much beyond the most basic of vanilla JavaScript for many, many, many years. jQuery helped me to avoid it very thoroughly. And in the past, like year and a half or 2 years, I've been slowly inching my way towards wanting to be, well, wanting to be up to date, wanting to start catching up to everybody else. So, understood. It's honestly the crash course that I've been on essentially a daily basis for the past like 2 years has been insane. Like before, I mean, fuck. Before a year ago, I wasn't even on the Node wagon. I'm just like 13, 14 years late. Something like that. And now I'm definitely on the wagon, but it's a not it's an Oregon Trail wagon. But I've become very driven by the fact that I want to do things, and if I'm gonna do things, I need to start learning all kinds of shit. So here I am. All right. Um, no, it's not. It's not supposed to keep doing a poll. Sorry. Hard-coded debug. So every time I was saving, it was reloading. It was reloading the server, or restarting the server, which was then rerunning all of my code. My apologies. All right. So right off the top, we're gonna need. I need this. See now, this is very different from what I'm doing with the API. Does this make sense to break this up? It feels like a big, huge ball of stuff, though. The thing that I would need to expose out would be the chat client in this case. Yeah, I had no idea that that was possible, and it rocks. Because, I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like this is... I'm not sure that this is, it feels like I'm doing evil here. A chat client. Shit. So passing the client around is the... Because for some reason that felt like that felt like a wrong thing to do to me. So I was kind of avoiding that. But passing it around would be better, huh? Well, right. Well, I mean, this is... Let me just delete this. I don't need that. This is sort of the intended usage. Right. I'm trying to make a wrapper around Twerple. I want to make another application that can tell the API, I want to do this. So I want the API to provide methods to easily do that. And I kind of didn't want to have to get, the API client or the chat client. I wanted them to I wanted the API or chat or event sub to sort of self-manage their clients And then I can just, I don't know. I've never done anything like this before, so I don't know which direction is more stupid or less stupid. These feel like you've written this wrong, but we have a get out of jail free card for you. That didn't work in that case. It will do it each time. Um, that might be highlighting another area where I don't understand things here, because my thinking is that I could just like, see, I'm calling connect API, right? That's doing the auth. And then this module just has it, right? That's why I did this, to make it global to the module. And then when I call these methods, it doesn't have to reauth, right? It's going to reuse the API client whenever I call any of these methods from wherever I call them. Yes? No? Or do you mean something else entirely different? Right. Well, I'm only going to have it in here. I don't have it in here, right? I'm not making new clients. I'm only going to make the client one time. The other thing I'm doing, okay, so there is going to be 3, but I feel like I can't use the same client for chat and API and event sub, because they all have different scopes and auth. Yeah, exactly. The module is going to hold the state. That was my intention. I'm just not using the right programmer words. I don't hang out with and talk to enough programmers. Oh, no, 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 not that. No, no, no. I want to write these once. I want to be able to connect the clients once. And then, I'm just going to import the modules mainly. So, the main application is going to handle the connecting. If I wanted to be elegant, I could do it I would have to come up with a way of checking this, but I could check to see if we've already connected. If we haven't, we'll connect at that time. So I could make it to where it's only going to do that at first use. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm not knowledgeable on at all, is testing. Food, you said words I don't understand. Well, right, yeah. Yeah. Those other methods will fail. So my final intention would be that the main thing that kicks off the app, so when the app starts, lazily at the very beginning, I would have connect API, connect chat, connect event sub. Those would create the scoped clients for each one. And then wherever else in the application, I can just import, start poll. If I want chat to be able to start a poll, if I want to start a poll with a chat command, then I just import start poll in my chat manager. And then I have a command, I listen for bang poll. And then I can tell the API manager, hey, start a poll with these settings. I don't think you're wacko. You would, okay, so you wouldn't export it. You'd have each API client call it, and the function return if API client is already defined. Oh. I see. I mean, I don't know how I would write that, but I get the concept. To some degree, I think I still need to do this at the level that I'm at. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ew. Why do I have that? Ew. Had a stray semicolon. Yeah, if only we had started sooner, because I'm just about out of time here. I didn't explicitly ask anybody who I know knows this stuff to help me because I feel so like ashamed of wasting anybody's time. My intention, I'll just say, the phaser game stuff that I was showing you, the reason I'm learning that is because this is related to the concept that I talked about the other day. I want to have this be something that I can drop in to a game project, and then I can access live Twitch functions or data and use that in a game context as simply and extensively as I can. That's my intention. So I kind of just want to make this aspect a no-brainer. And then I can focus more on, like, if I want to do cool stuff with a game, if I want to pull in data from Twitch and use it somehow, or if I want to listen to alerts and have the game respond to them, or, just any of that kind of garbage. The scariest part will be further on in the future trying to also get an extension involved in that, which my only foray into that so far has been a world of nightmares. I see. You're definitely using different programmer words, but it sounds a lot like what kind of the lines Zick was thinking along as well. Well, no, I mean, Scream-A-Day is going to steamroll any other kind of stream, as usual. All horror games all day. I see what you're saying, though. I could work on a Twitch extension for Scream-A-Day. It's definitely scary enough. Yeah, I'm just not versed in object-oriented. I've heard of all these things. When you combine them all together, I don't totally get it. It sounds like classes to me because classes have like constructors and getters and things. Classes are always this thing that feel like whenever I learn about them, the pattern is extremely tempting, but then I never end up actually using them. Purse abstract factory facades. That was very fast, Nick. I see. Uh-oh. Gotcha. I get you. Okay. So all of it basically it just makes it more sensible inside itself. And I would never have to do the connect thing. I could just use the methods and it would inherently check and sort itself out. That's pretty cool. I like that. Right. You would do it in the constructor and then have right. See, I like the organizational style of classes, but I also like what you've done here a lot. I actually might I might read I might just copy your code. But I understand what you've done. It's really clear. Right. It's very similar to what I've done. I just didn't have any better ideas about how to, you know, about how to do that in that particular way that you've done it. Yeah. Yeah. And less code in main is definitely, I like that. Excuse me? Monadic endofunctors? Jesus Christ. This reminds me of a friend of mine. He was uh he was a Python sicko and he got me into Python. So I was doing Python, I was kind of into it, but I didn't have a need to use it on a daily basis, so I kind of fell out of it. But he was one of those dudes that just like there's dipping your toe in, there's being thrown in the pool, there's being thrown in the deep end, and then there's being thrown in the deep end and being held underwater. And he was definitely the hold you underwater type, where he was like he would show me stuff like lambda functions, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I, I don't have any idea what's happening. I've heard they're great. I had absolutely zero ability to understand what I was looking at whatsoever. It was a lot of me just being like, yeah, cool. Definitely had the feel of like, I've learned 2 plus 2, maybe how many sides a square has. And then he's like, all right, now it's time for some trigonometry. I am truly like, I don't think ever in my life I'll consider myself a programmer. Ever, 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 ever. Because like I just my path through the world of programming has been nothing but a mess. I mean, you bringing up functional programming reminded me that I spent over a decade writing Scala without at all ever knowing the language. At no point did I ever learn the language. I learned how to copy blocks of code that were already written that did the things I needed them to do. And that feels like a long time to write a language and not somehow learn it. To a ridiculous fucking degree, by the way. It started off with making one really rather large application that we ended up making like somewhere between 5 and 10 applications. These were all like extensive prototypes with Postgres databases, very complicated Postgres databases, using Squirrel for handling it was like middleware to SQL. Play framework. It was ridiculous. My exaggerated imposter syndrome. Yeah. I think actually that's probably the core of why I'm like scared of showing code on stream, because I absolutely have very intense feelings of like, if I show them this, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out, man. I'm gonna fuck around and they're gonna find out. At any rate, that's gonna do it for tonight. I got a hungry little man staring at me from the other room. His tail has begun to wag because I turned my head in his direction. Hey. Oh, you're so big. You're so heavy. You're about to get heavier. You ready for dinner, bud? Yeah? You want my arm out of there. No arm. Arm in my way. You hungry, bud? You a little hungry man? You a little hungry man? Up, up. High five. Bam. High five. Bam. Oh, I love that. High five. High five. Come on. Come here. High five. Boop. But yeah, I feel like I learned quite a lot this evening, actually. So thank you guys for the assist. Thank you, Zick, for the code that I'm literally gonna steal. But yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Thanks for hanging, and as always, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful evening.